Hello and welcome to the Daily Atheist Morning Show. I am your host, the amazing Super Chris Mallard. Thank you for joining me today. Patriot of the West. Yeah, why not do both, man? Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a wonderful week. I've had a pretty good week. It's Friday. With any luck, you guys will be hearing me a little better today. I've turned up the audio on everything. We'll see. I mean, my audio compared to my commercials seemed to be okay. My audio compared to the rest of YouTube was a little. So we'll see. Hopefully. I prayed upon it. Good morning. I hope you've had a great week so far. It is Friday, the day of fries, my favoriteest day. I think Friday's one of my favorites. I mean, like, man, once my work day is over, which I don't have a work day, it's a great thing. We're going to have some fun today talking about things. There's a couple of things that go with the notion of Christians and the afterlife. One is that, well, it isn't real, so you're sacrificing this life for something that's not there. You should live this life as best you can. Enjoy this life. Live it to its fullest, rather than anticipating something that's not going to happen. Starving yourself for food you'll never eat. But then there's also the other side of that coin. That's the good morning, everyone. You're wonderful. Let's talk and let's be friends. And then we've got those other people who are atheist jerk, and I'm like, all right, well, let's talk about the other side of that coin. The other side of that coin is, how greedy and disgusting are you that you're going to sacrifice everything, your friends, your family, your money, whatever, so you can have more for eternity later. It's not really about it's not about you being a sacrificing person, about you being a kind person, about you being willing to give. Would you still give if there were no reward? That's interesting. Have you considered trying atheism? Is atheism for you?
Life is complicated. These are trying times. There are many questions that need answering. Want to know what's going to help? Atheism. With atheism, you'll get rid of dogma, superstitions, and toxic thought patterns that are holding you back. You can drive while taking atheism, as well as use heavy machinery. In fact, drinking alcohol, fornicating, and Sunday mornings are far more enjoyable with atheism. However, there are side effects. Some evangelicals and fundamentalists will think you are possessed by the devil. But you don't have to worry, because you know the devil isn't real. Just like God. Wake up to your life. Believe in yourself. Believe in science. Atheism.
Atheism could be for you. It's fun for the whole family. It is. Oddly, with atheism, secular humanism, we don't actually have books about gods that we worship and follow commanding us to do horrific things. But we don't have that. So cool, isn't it? It's easier to teach to your children because you don't have to explain, well, how did Cain and Abel have children without sexing up Eve? That's a conversation that you got to have at some point with the kid. We don't have to have that problem with the conversation. I'm just saying. Good morning, Patriot of the West. I hope good afternoon, our Australian friend. I hope everything is going great for you. Kelly Shearer, good morning, Kelly. Native Atheist is hitting it up early this morning. Good morning, Native Atheist. Flocky. Hi, Flocky. Miss Non Sequitur is probably here too. I don't know if I've seen the name. I probably have. It's been a crazy morning already. Good morning, everyone, Secular Feelingist, and the Beard of Empathy. Now, the Beard of Empathy, whenever we're talking about the dancing cow in the morning, the Beard of Empathy thing, it says, Guten Morgen, tanzen Kuh. And I think that's awesome. I'm going to click it up here. Is it going to highlight? Are you going to highlight? There you go. Sidelighting. Let's highlight that. And I was thinking, I think it would be fantastic if there were like a movie or something with some sort of villain. That's a great villain name. Tansen Ku is a great villain name. Don't you think? And they are like anybody that knows what it means, dancing cow. But until they do, it's a great villain name. That's tasty and delicious. Good morning, everyone. So thank you for that. I do enjoy it. Miss Non Sequitur, How are you doing today? Those are the kinds of questions that little Aaron got glared at for. Yeah, I can imagine. There really is it's a two-sided thing, my friends. There's no proof. They have no proof. They've never been able to prove there's an afterlife at all. All they've got at best is personal testimony. I feel it in my head. How many of these Christians have you seen come in here in my chat and tell me that God creature or Jesus creature has reached out to them personally, and they expect us to believe their personal testimony? And then, of course, I go light them up about, well, you've seen me do it. Oh, really? Jesus loves you, but fuck all those children who are praying, right? Oh, yeah, right? But see how it goes. Beard of him. Yeah, sounds great. Good morning, everyone. Let me just see what's going on over here in our new chat. That's cool. So far, everything seems to be going with the new show. It looks a little better. I think we'll see how it goes. And hopefully the streams are both going and nothing will crash on us today. In theory. So for you, my friends, now for me, when I was a Christian, the whole notion of, I really didn't think about sacrificing in this life to get something later. That wasn't really what I thought about. How do I express that? As a Christian, that just wasn't, Jesus was Jesus, and, I can't really say I love somebody. It's just, you're told to love Jesus, you love Jesus. Okay, yes, we love Jesus. But that's, this notion that there's something, and, really even in our jokes, whenever I look at, when you look at the what is it? The post-mortem baptismal kit where I show heaven and hell afterwards. In heaven, it's not you with your own thing. It's not you sitting around a pot of gold, living in a gold mansion, walking down gold streets. It's not. It's you begging and worshiping at the foot of God for eternity. That's your purpose. You don't have agency in heaven. There's no agency. You don't have personal agency. In heaven, you're a mind slave, and your purpose is to worship God. That's your entire purpose. It's hard to see. I want to say if you've never read the Bible, it's hard to see. But part of the deal is you can read the Bible. But part of the problem is people have the Bible read to them. All the time, these pastors are out there telling you these stories. You've seen us. So I watched a video just this morning. Who was it? Somebody this morning was going, look, here in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus says, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but your will. Look how beautiful that is. I'm like, wait, you just said the words and yet you missed it. Jesus was not willing. You missed it. You said the words, but you've heard it so many times. It was just so beautiful. I think later on, Jesus even goes, all right, I'll do it because you want me to, because of your will. He never says it's my will to do so, but you can see them just right over the truth because that's how it's been fed to them. It's a beautiful, holy, merciful thing. All these things go through my mind whenever I think about Christianity, etc. Whenever I think about the end of times, whenever I think about afterlife, I used to, as a Christian, I actually, as a kid, thought about the holy war that would come in Revelation. Would I be a part of it? Who would I be killing? In my mind, as a kid, 12 years old, I was thinking it would be like demons, and I'd be coming back and slaying demons and whatever business. I didn't know it'd be innocent children and women and people who just didn't believe the way God creature wanted them to believe. I didn't know that was the case until I got older, right? And none of that is there a pot of gold in my mind. Nowhere as a Christian did I think there was going to be like mansions. But you hear it, to give in this life to get your reward in heaven. And the reward in heaven is not a penny for a pound. It's you get to be there and you get to worship at the feet of God creature. That's the reward. It's not paradise of your own fashion. It's not you doing your own thing. You have a purpose, and your purpose is to beg God creature and tell God creature that God creature is wonderful, because God creature has a very, very small penis, apparently. Good morning. Let's see. Christopher, bearer of Christ. The new heaven and the new earth will have cultures and nations and people, and you will build houses and gardens, and there will be rivers and parties and heavenly metal drum sets. Okay. Man, if that's what you want, I guess. I don't know where you'd get that as a Christian, where you'd get that, really. No, I don't know where you'd get that. Anytime you look at God in the Bible, it's always a horrific God. It kills. To look upon it, it kills. In many places. Sometimes it's which prophet was it that had to hide in a crevice? Do you guys remember which one had to hide in a crevice and could only see God from behind as he was leaving, and all he saw was a bright flash of light or some bullshit? Do you remember which prophet that was? Whenever you hear the peak into heaven, when you see in the Bible where it peaks into heaven and you see what's happening in heaven, I think one of the best examples would be Revelation. I don't know how you take that, but when you go look at Revelation, there's all these people and heavenly host creatures, sitting around God creature. And their whole purpose is to sit there and do nothing for eternity, going, heaven, holy, holy, holy is the Lord, which is why I put that in the commercial that you see at the postmortem baptismal kit commercial, because when they've described heaven, then the look into heaven, that's all they're doing. That's really all they're doing. They're either doing that or like at a football game, cheering on Jesus and his angels as they move on to slaughter all the people of the earth, the wicked and whatnot. Now, there are those under the throne of heaven. So under God's throne, apparently, there is a well. And in that well are those people who were killed, I guess, as martyrs for God creature. And they sit down there crying out, revenge, revenge, venge us, vengeance for us. That's their whole bag, man. Ouch. That's what I want to do. It's just. Let me just do a thing here real quick. Good morning. Is it Geo Sam over there sneaking around? Good morning, Geo Sam. How are you doing? God's presence is what burns people. Yeah. God loves the smell of burning flesh. He says so over and over again. All Christians are going to hell to become burning flesh for this God monster. Ask any Christian if any of the other ones are real Christians, and they'll say no. Go ask a Catholic. Catholics think only the Catholics are the right. Ask all the rest of them if Catholics are real Christians. Oh no, Catholics aren't real Christians. So they're all technically going to burn in hell. So therefore, God will never run out of human-scented flesh candles. We call them Christians, right? When you apply the logic to it, I know Christians, the L word. Don't be too afraid. The people that don't go to heaven made their choice. You don't feel sad for them. That's crazy, isn't it? You wouldn't feel sad for them. The people who aren't in heaven, who you couldn't convince through a lack of actual decent evidence, God creature was so pathetic, couldn't actually present himself and convince people, show them the convincing that they would need. No, couldn't do that. Nope. And then on top of that, allows all his word, the word of God, to be molested and corrupted by any fucking jackwagon that comes along. Any one of them that comes along. Right from the very beginning, they were saying, don't believe other prophets that come along. Where was it, the New Testament? Or was it the Old Testament talking about false prophets? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Before I lose my situation over here. And the victim blaming is absolutely typically Christian. Wait a second. You couldn't convince me despite your word. Mathematics is an excellent demonstration of a pure language that could be communicated. If God creature wanted to communicate, he could have with something like he could have in his own words, in his own language. Mathematics shows us that the universe does have a universal language of its own. And if God creature wanted to, he could have. But he didn't. Did he? And so he goes around giving this message to these people out in the desert of all people. 2,000 to 3,000 years ago, out in the desert, in the Middle East, in the desert, people who you would not have anything to do with today, almost certainly. Not at all. If you saw Abraham cutting the throats of the bulls and sprinkling that blood on the stone altars and sprinkling that blood on himself and on the worshipers as they chanted, "Holy, holy is the Lord," you might rethink this God creature. You might, I mean, if you saw it and didn't know, if I was showing you like a Star Trek episode and they come across this ancient civilization and they're out there in the desert and they're like, oh, anytime I've done something, I've offended the God creature. I'm going to go take an animal and kill it and put the blood so the God creature will not be angry with me. You'd be, oh my God, these people are fucking crazy. We need to throw some science at these people, some reason, some logic at these people. And yet, here you are, Christians. That's exactly what you are. That's exactly what you worship. That's exactly what this is. Jesus was just the final one. If you have them believe, the last sacrifice, but it's still a sacrifice. It's still exactly the same thing. It's a step up. So now instead of them just going and getting some creature, now they're getting a human. Uh-oh, now it's a human. But, I mean, they've done that, and that didn't do the thing. So now it's got to be the perfect human. You know what I mean? It just, the sinless, the most innocent, really the most innocent. And that's just how it is in the sacrificial times. The more innocent, the more shitty a human being you've been, the more sins you've committed, the more innocent a creature you have to harm. That's disgusting. So you can be cleaned of your sins with your evil God creature. What the fuck about the innocent creature, though, over there? The little dove, the little lamb, the little sheep, the little whatever. Person. He doesn't say, hey, don't be jumping out of airplanes, because nobody was jumping out of airplanes, right? So you wouldn't actually have to put that in your holy text. So naturally, you've got to put things like, anybody who fucks an animal needs to be put to death. Anybody who has sex with their mother-in-law should be put to death. Oh, and by the way, there's this other thing. Why would they put that there? Why would they have that as a law, to not sacrifice your children? If they weren't doing it, they were doing it. Too much, in fact. And again, of course, I mean, Exodus shows us, God creature telling Moses to do it. Those are just a couple of times I've mentioned. There are more times in the Bible where God creature either kills the firstborn, calls for the death of the firstborn, or accepts the sacrifice of a child, or his army is defeated by another king sacrificing his own son by fire to his own God, which is not God. Did you know that? All right, so let me put that in perspective. God creature and his people are in the old ancient desert, and there's this other king, and they're all warring together, and this king sacrifices his son by fire to his God, which is not God creature. Now, you would think, right? You would think because God doesn't like that. You'd think he'd smite that man or be bad to that. Oh, that's bad. We need to go murder all those. No. They actually started winning. That was what it took. And now all of a sudden they kicked the Israelites' asses. God's people their asses were kicked thusly. And then, of course, we've seen Lot offer his daughters as a sacrifice in place of these. Actually, you call it like a redemption in place of these angels that were there, right? Isn't that weird? And then, of course, we don't even want to fucking talk about Job and him sacrificing children, the sacrifice of children there. We don't want to talk about that, do we? I mean, they're like, oh, Satan killed all those children. No, Satan didn't kill all those children. God killed all those children. Satan killed no one. Lucifer, whatever you want to call him. I don't know who, it varies from Christian to Christian, who you think it is. No, God did it. So the first time the devil, Satan, Lucifer, whomever, Christian, whatever you think, they come along and they're like, hey man, look at your Job dude. He loves you no matter what. But it's only because he actually loves you only because you're nice to him. He's like, no, he loves me no matter what. So I'm going to just destroy him, and we'll see if so he says in the first book, he says, you go do what you want to with him. Something. It's been a while since I've read it. But he essentially says to the dark one, to the evil one, not the wife, she's not here. He said to Satan, he says, you go do what you want to. But the next chapter, here comes Satan again, Lucifer, whichever. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one it is right off. Yeah, and if you know why I'm so hesitant to lock on any one of them. But he comes back the next day and he's like, dude, how's your man down there? How's he doing? And you know what? God creature goes, you know what? Job is doing just fine. He still loves me. He is still loyal to me, though you moved me to destroy him. That's God creature right there, taking credit for actually being the hand that destroyed Job's family, his shepherds, his flocks. Not just his sin. In case you didn't know, it wasn't just his children that were killed. It was like his shepherds and his flock and all these things. Murderous, horrific God creature. And what's the story of Job to prove? Loyalty and dedication to a God creature that will fuck you up for no reason. And if he is fucking you up, it's either your fault, looking at you, Christopher, bearer of Christ, the people that don't go to heaven made it their choice. You don't feel sad for them. Is it something that is flippant? Is that something that the morals of the idea you get your morals from? Interesting. Whenever if the video comes back, I'll answer that. Are we back to normal yet? Let's see if we're back to normal. Stop being an ass. There we go. What do you morals stand to judge on literature of Yahweh? What do you morals stand on to judge the literature of Yahweh? I'm having a hard time understanding that, buddy pal. I'm assuming English is not your first language, or you're in a typing situation that's unfortunate. How do you judge the morals? You know, that's kind of the thing. I mean, I'll kind of, if I can answer you, I'll just kind of talk. If I can't answer you, normal for the moment. Okay, it's looking good. All good now. Okay. So let me pin this so I got it. Toggle pin, because shit moves, right? Hold on a second. And the other one. So about my morals. Here's how I judge the morals of a God. I was raised a certain way to know these things are good and these things are bad. These are, don't hurt other people. Be kind to other people. Treat other people the way you would want to be treated. These are the things I was taught growing up by my society. Certain things were varied based on where I lived and where I didn't live. I was raised in Texas. So in Texas, you could shoot somebody and murder them as long as they were kicking in your front door. As long as they were even on your property. All they had to do was be on your property. You can't do that in New Mexico. They don't feel the same way in New Mexico or in Pennsylvania. Oddly enough, the moral sets are different based on where you live, right? You can see that, can't you? The moral sets are different based on wherever you live. Your moral sets are different. How you view things depends on how you were raised and where you were raised. Now, this is the thing. I was raised a certain way, probably the same way you were. Hurting people is bad. Murdering people is bad. Hurting children is bad. All of these things we probably agree on, right? So I say we agree on, I throw that out there. As a secular humanist, that's what I believe. But on your side, you've got this. So let me just assume you feel that way too, because you were raised in a similar society as I was. Okay. So then you and I are walking along, and we see people, and they're worshiping a god. Doesn't matter which god. Let's say Hindu god. Okay. Now we read their stories, or we hear them tell their stories about what their god does. Can you morally judge that god? No, you can or can't. I mean, why couldn't you? Why can't you go, you know what? I think it's fucking stupid. I think it's horrific that Hercules would have sex with this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person. And then what's that one god who ate his own babies? Do you not judge that god? I don't remember which one it was, who his wife would have babies and he would eat them. So she eventually started giving him stones. I mean, we can judge these gods as being shitty people. We can judge their morals. Can we not? So you go down to South America and you see a god creature and these people worshiping a god creature, and they're not worshiping Jesus. They're not worshiping God. They've never heard of Jesus or God. And they are murdering people on the top of a temple, hoping that doing so will make the sun come up tomorrow. So how do you judge the morals of their God? Can you judge their morals? In their minds, their God or gods command these things. Can you not judge their gods? Oh man, those gods are pretty shitty, dude. That's crazy. I would not ask my people to do that. Can you not judge those gods? by that same token, judge Yahweh. Open the book. Read Yahweh. Read it. Read how horrific and monstrous this God creature is. Oh, yes, it creates the heavens and the earth, and then it creates innocent people, lies to them, and then punishes them horrifically. They're expected to be able to defend themselves intellectually at all, despite the whole purpose of them. The thing they're not supposed to be doing is not eating of the tree that teaches them that they're not supposed to do things. It's just fucking stupid. It's a trap, and God creature lies to them right there. Right there lies to them. Then in the next book, the very next book, chapter 4 of the Bible, I believe, 4 of the Bible, the first man murders another man for the love of God because God creature was shitty to him. Because no matter how hard he worked, God creature turned up his nose to him. And when this man was like, oh man, why is he turning up his nose to me? He's like, hey, you don't make a face, motherfucker. Don't make a face. You make a face, sin is crouching at your door, is it not? That's what happened. Is it not what happened? Cain killed Abel for the love of God because God didn't accept Cain's sacrifice, his offerings, and yet he did accept Abel's offerings. Abel's offerings were just meat because he was a herder. It was goat. It was tasty and delicious. God loves the smell of burning flesh. But Abel's sacrifice, Abel's gift, though being the best that he has, was from the ground. He worked the ground. It was hard to work the ground. Abel worked his ass off. God creature had made working the ground hard because of Eve's transgression. Specifically. And yet God creature, book 4, is it chapter 4? Chapter 4 of the Bible, the first murder is brother against brother for the love of your God. And then we go on to I don't remember what happens in chapter 5. Is chapter 5 just a bunch of he begat him, who begat him, who begat him, who leads us to Noah? And then Noah, because God creature creates civilization, and we've got mankind. God creature apparently just doesn't guide us or do anything. He must allow the sons of heaven, the sons of God, to go down and take wives of men, take wives of the human females, willy-nilly. And then there's a Nephilim. They come. I mean, like when you read Genesis, there's these innocent people who are corrupted by these, I want to say hosts of heaven, larger than human creatures. You know what I mean? Larger, like godly, those sons of God, whether they're angels or whether the fuck they were. Nephilim, whatever they were. They're there and they have experience of, I guess, the world. And here's innocent humans. And innocent humans are tainted by these things. I guess. Right? I mean, it was God's a perfect creature who created man in his perfect image, and yet man turns to shit so fast. But these were his and what does he does? He drowns every one of them, except for like a family, which he considers to be holy. He is the most upstanding of them. Well, he must have been fucking shit. The rest of them must have been absolutely horrific if Noah was the best they had. You know, Noah, the drunk who cursed his own grandchild for the sins of his son instead of, you know what I mean? That Noah. What a loving person. Interesting. And then we go on. You can go on to the story of Abraham. Yeah, the story of Abraham, where God creature follows Abraham, doesn't actually do anything to help Abraham for quite some time, then makes promises to Abraham that he doesn't keep. That's right. Go look at the covenant with Abraham in Genesis chapter 15. God makes a covenant with Abraham. Let me tell you a story. I'll tell you a story. Abram, I think we're at this time. Abram, he makes a story with Abram. And then God is like, I tell you what, you do this thing for me, a sacrifice, and I will, in 400 years, your descendants will have all this land from that side of Egypt all the way to that side of Iran. A huge bunch of land. All right, so cool. Abram goes and does these things. He goes and does what he's asked. All right. So what he's asked is he's asked to go get some loving flowers and some lambs and some doves and have them all peacefully sitting around. I'm sure there's a lion there, and they're all loving and peaceful. And then God, as a beautiful old man with a long white hair and beard, he comes down and he descends between them. He's like, you have done what I said to do. And now your descendants will have all this land later. Well, there's a couple of things wrong with that story. One is, really, to be honest, they never get that land. Go read Genesis chapter 15. They never get the land that God creature promises. God Yahweh from the Bible promises them this land. Now, you can't say, oh, well, they just haven't gotten it yet. No, you can't say that because there's actually a timeline on it. God creature gives them a timeline. In 400 years, your descendants will have this land from here to here. That's all a lie. And you know what else was a lie? The part about the flowers and the doves and the lambs and all that. No, he didn't ask for that. It wasn't peaceful and loving and mercy like Christians think of what God is. The first time God met Abram in person like that and they had that agreement, what he wanted blood. You go cut these animals into pieces and form them into a circle. He did. And then God creature comes in the form of a fiery burning pot and floats between them because he loves the smell of burning flesh. This is your fucking God creature. Did you know that? No, didn't know that. Didn't know that. Huh. Abraham, of the Abrahamic religion, that's this guy. So you can actually go look and see not only at God lying to Abraham, God lying to Adam and Eve, and then God's horrific appearance when he does appear manifestly to Abram. The first time he shows his face to people. I guess, it really depends on how you see that, because after that, the Lord and Abram kind of talk a lot. The Lord, I think that's the Lord's representative or the Lord, either way. And then that's kind of how we learn from Abram and Sarai that you only get pregnant with God's blessing. If you're really blessed, you will have a man child. If you're really blessed and you're really loved by God, that man child will go on to form nations and build cities. You with me? Those are the blessings by God. Those are what was given to Cain. Remember Cain, the guy who murdered his brother, who God put a stamp on him and told the world that this stamp never harm him, which essentially gave him long life. No one should harm him. Remember that? That's essentially give him long life. That was a reward in the Old Testament. And then Cain went on to get a wife and have children and found a city whose sons, that's right, male children, went on. All the things that Cain allegedly got as a punishment were actually rewards by God, were they not? The first man to murder his own brother, murder anybody, killed his own man for the love of God. And then instead of God punishing that man with what? All men with pain from their penis whenever they have sex with women? No, nothing like that. No, nothing like that. No, he gets to live a long life and have a wife and family, and his children go on to live and found nations. Yeah, oh yeah, that sounds exactly like. Doesn't it sound like? A long life is not necessarily a moral good. Does not say he founded a city. We went to a city. Carry on. Go read it. Go read it for yourself. What should have happened to Cain? That he was able to go do anything. Find a city, have a wife, any of that. Why? Why? He murdered someone for the love of God. It's for the love of God. That's why he was rewarded for it. Anyway, but still, the whole story itself, was a horrific God creature. Isn't that horrific God creature? It's not loving. It's not merciful. It's none of those things that you would not judge as moral, is it? You would not judge a creature that did that if it was the Quetzalcoatl god for the Aztecs. If it was drowning its own people, you wouldn't think that was cool. If Thor was commanding the Vikings to sacrifice their children, as Yahweh does in Exodus 13:1, you would probably be judging Thor. You would feel right to morally judge Thor, wouldn't you? So just because your God creature doesn't exist, I can indeed judge morally it because of the attributes given to it by its followers. You guys say this is how it acts. Its book says this is how it acts. Let's see what's going on. So I'm done with that part there. Christopher, Bear of Heaven. Sorry, man, there's lots going on. That guy. Don't get caught on the streets of Eden after dark if Cain was around. No shit, right? No shit. It's interesting. Would you feel lost? Hey, Kelsis, good morning. Hey, Kelsis, or not Kelsis. Where is it? I saw a thing. Somebody else saying something. Static mode. Cool. Broad sounds like Markiplier. I've heard that before. I don't know who Markiplier is, but I've heard that before. I don't know who Markiplier is. Maybe Mark. I don't know. Is that good? I don't know if that's good or not. Let's see. Life is suffering, my dears. Is it? Huh. That sounds like a merciful, loving God, doesn't it? See, Christopher, that's a wonderful thing. Look at that. Look at you. Aren't you so cute? Look at these numbers. And the reason why, the reason why he says we should sacrifice all this other bullshit is because one day we will spend this many, and it's a very, very, very large number. It's because we don't know how to use components. I mean, even if we did, I don't know how to put them in text. So I appreciate his large numbers. Very large numbers with no suffering and the beginning of forever. And that's the beginning. See, that's wonderful. Isn't that wonderful? That you are absolutely correct. Look at all those years. Years of eternal torture. Conscious, eternal torture. For what? For what? For how long? For maybe, what? How many years? Less than 100 years? Less than 100 years. And then this God creature who's going to torment you for that entire eternity didn't give you a manual to verify itself. And what it did give you was so fucked up, nobody can trust it. There's 40,000, 50,000 different, really? Really? You believe that? You believe the God creature that's going to torture you and everybody else for billions and trillions of years is not going to give us a message to help us avoid that. It's something that wouldn't be corruptible. No? You don't think? No? Isn't that weird? That's weird. But that's what we'll get to do whenever we die. We get to, holy, holy is the Lord.
Do you have a loved one who's on their deathbed, but they've yet to give themselves up to the Lord?
Are you sure you don't want to come to Jesus?
No.
This is your final chance.
No. Worried they're headed to the fiery pits of hell.
Your very last chance.
No. I've been wicked and sinful. I deserve to burn in the hot place.
As you wish. Farewell, my heathen husband.
Farewell, my... Well, fear not, my wayward child. Introducing Father Flanagan's line of post-mortem baptismal kits. No more worries about being miserable alone forever. Be a good Christian and share that eternal pain and suffering with the ones you love. I'm in hell. Not as hot as I thought it'd be. Kind of feels like Houston, minus the humidity. Hello. My favorite drink crafted to perfection. Ooh, and some dank ass weed.
I can't bear to be down on my face chanting, holy, holy, holy is the Lord, every day, all day, for all eternity, by myself.
Wow, is that George Carlin? And Alan Turing, look at that. Carl say, oh, I am so honored. You've been my hero since I was a kid. Neil deGrasse Tyson, what are you doing here? Oh, I get it. I get it. Schrodinger's heathen. Very cute, you. Very cute. That's fantastic. Oh, what is that? What is? It's holy water. Oh, it burns. No, this isn't where I want to be. Pabst Blue Ribbon and a Marlboro? No! Father Flanagan's post-mortem baptismal kit. Dead kid tested, Mother Teresa approved. Is that the Pope and John Paul? Jim Jones and Jimmy Swaggart, huh? I can see that coming. Neil deGrasse, what are you doing? Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord.
Thanks, Father Flanagan.
Damn them to an eternity in heaven for only $59.99. They wouldn't appreciate it, but you'll feel better, and that's the point, isn't it? Get yours now. Your heathen loved one's time is running out.
Holy, holy, holy is the Lord. This is some bullshit. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord.
All right, we're back. First one I want to address, Graham Scott. Abram's descendants did get Canaan. This guy lies to fit his agenda. No, I didn't. Go read Genesis chapter 12. He gives them a description. From here to here, it does not happen. Go look. Go find maps. You will find out it never happened. Go ask AI, whichever AI you want. Go ask them. It never fucking happened. Abraham and his descendants never owned all the land promised to them in that chapter, and certainly didn't do it 400 years after. Now, you can call me a liar, but we've got the text. You should go look at the text. Let's go look at the text. Genesis chapter 12. Is it 12? No, it's 15. Pardon me. Pardon. 15. The Lord's covenant with Abraham. Down at the very bottom it says, to your descendants I will give this land from the Wadi of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, the Kenzanites, the Kadamites, the Hittites, the Pizzaites, the Raphaelites. There's a whole bunch of ites there. The Amorites, the Canaanites. Right there blows your argument out of the fucking water, including the land what you described. The Gigger something shites and the Jebusites. So your ignorance stuns me. I'm sorry, I kind of went off. Anyway, you lose. Go away. Or stay and learn something, because obviously you have much. Why am I being such a dick? Good morning. Apparently Satan compels me to be a dick. Anyway, so am I lying, my friend? This is Genesis 15. Am I lying? Can you admit I'm not lying? Right there it says you can go look. Go look it up. Where we're talking about the Wadi of the Egypt to the great river of go look. They never owned that land. The descendants of Abram never owned all that land. Never. And certainly not 400 years after this. And when the sun had passed and darkness had fallen, a smoking fire pot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. Isn't that what I said earlier? On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram. To your descendants, I give this land from the Wadi. Blah, 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 blah. I would really like it to not be, I want it to be different. But you know, one of the things, if you go read this, go read Genesis chapter 15. And it's like, as the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and dreadful darkness came over him. Then the Lord said unto him, know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there. Now, is that Egypt we're talking about? I don't know. I'd have to go look. I don't know if that's what they're talking about. Because they were enslaved so many times. God creature did indeed several times give his own people into slavery several times. Judges, I think it was Judges. But I will punish the nation they serve as slaves. Okay, cool. That was hopefully Egypt. That makes a cool story. And afterward they will come out with great possessions, which is what happened with Abraham and Lot. Isn't that weird though? When you go, no, I guess that can't be true. That's not right, is it? You know why I say that's not right? Because that's what just happened to Lot, or Abraham. What we just said right here, that just happened to Abraham. Yeah. He can't be talking about Abraham. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, he can be talking about Moses. That's okay, I got my number right. He can be talking about Moses. Okay, good. I want him to be talking about Moses, because if he's talking about Moses, then we go on to Exodus and all that other business, and I get all my little things that are too tasty and juicy, like where God commands Moses and his followers to sacrifice their children, where God tells Moses to murder every man, woman, and child. But Moses' generals don't, so then Moses gets all pissed off for them not murdering every man, woman, and child. This is your moral God creature. I can judge your God based on the texts. I can say my moral standards are better than that God creature's moral standards. As somebody mentioned earlier, let me see, where was it here? I think I pinned it even. Did I pin it? Oddmod Kiff, good morning, says, God isn't just unless you can explain how having 10 of David's wives raped as a punishment for David's crimes. They didn't do anything. They were raped, I believe, publicly by his friend or his son. I don't remember which. That was David's. Well, what the fuck did they do? That's God's punishment? That's God. That's God right there. And you know what David we're talking about, don't you? You know, this is David of the house of David, whom Jesus is supposed to be isn't he supposed to be a descendant of the house of David, all pure and whatnot? David, the same guy who killed 200 people and cut off the ends of their dicks. That David? That's the same one, right? Huh. Good morning, Tonight with Kyle. I already belong to Raptor Jesus, who promised to save me when I win the Velociraptor. That's good. I dig it. I'm picking up what you're putting down. That's good stuff. Christopher Beer of Christ says, but yes, we do have a book, the most produced book ever made. I don't know. It may be, might be the most written book, maybe, possibly. That's possible. That doesn't mean it's accurate or true. Doesn't mean any of it's accurate or true. None of it. Nothing. Just because, right? Just because it's the most produced book does not mean it's right. I mean, it's simple-minded to think that that's why, to not really realize that it could just be that a large group of people, you know, and you would be hard-pressed, in fact, to show that all of those Bibles were the same. This most produced book ever, if your God creature had an objective voice, one singular voice, there would be one book, and it would be unmolestable. And here with the most produced book ever, again, not really. No. Are we talking about the King James Version? Oh, we're not talking about the King James Version. Are we talking about the Catholic version? Are we talking about the Methodist? I mean, which version are you talking about? They're not all the same thing, right? I mean, they claim that they are. They all have Holy Bible written on the outside of them, but once you get on the inside, they're not the same, are they? They're not. They're not. So your claim even of being the most produced book ever, well, yeah, sort of. Let's go here. Buddy Powell says calling a creator God a God creature is an oxymoron, sir. I want to ask you something. How many times in the Bible they destroyed mankind whenever mankind was finally starting to cooperate and work together? He says, him and his angels, he says, let's go down there and look at mankind. He says, look at all the things they are doing. Speaking as one language. There's nothing they can't do. And we can't have that shit. Let's go down and let's destroy their temple and spread up their language and spread them over the earth. He doesn't want good for mankind. He doesn't. Not at all. By no example. Whenever we talk about Moses earlier, right? Moses is a good guy. Oh, Moses. But then again, even his own people, the other things God created the manna that fell from heaven. Oh, that's true. Manna, he gave it. But why did he give them manna from heaven? Well, he gave them manna from heaven because he was forcing them to die in the desert because they didn't worship the way he wanted them to. So he was forcing them a long, anguishing, horrific death in the desert. And it wasn't tasty, delicious manna. It wasn't. It was disgusting and horrific because they complained about it. And what did God creature do? He did indeed create more. Your creator God did create more. He created serpents that went in and stung them. Killed them, in fact. Stung them. Killed them. And then I think was it Moses who had to create a brass image of a snake, and when people looked at it, they were healed. It sounds sort of like magic, isn't it? It's like, isn't that weird, like magic? So, I mean, yeah, God creature. By every example. What is going to, all right, Jesus. Oh, Jesus is loving and meek and mild. Jesus is loving and meek and mild, my ass. Not only is Jesus claiming, at least in the Bible, out of his own mouth, he's claiming that he and his angels are going to come back and murder billions of people by throwing them in a furnace. The people who went through Sodom and Gomorrah will be lucky compared to what he is bringing. He says so himself. What happened at Sodom and Gomorrah? Whose teeth were sank into Sodom and Gomorrah? It was God creature's teeth. That God creature you don't want to face. The evil God of the Old Testament. That's the one. And Jesus does the same thing. Matthew, where he says, I'm going to come back with my angels. I'm going to murder every one of you motherfuckers that doesn't believe the way I say you should believe. Those who are wicked will be wiped out. Those who are righteous will not. Wicked will be put in furnaces, and there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. If you're a Christian and you're familiar with the term weeping and gnashing of teeth, you've heard that. That's what that's talking about. It's not talking about hell. They're going to be in hell, and there's going to be, in this particular case, they're not talking about hell. No, they're talking about Jesus coming back and all the people of the world that are not righteous. It's either righteous and the unrighteous, the wicked and the right. That's all they got. All the wicked who are unrighteous are going to be put into a burning furnace, and burned with a weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's where that comes from. In case you didn't know, that's where that comes from. God, creator God, your God did indeed create. It created a furnace to burn people in. So its son, itself, and its minions, its angels, could slaughter and burn everybody who didn't worship the way your God creature thinks they should worship. God creature. I think it applies, don't you? Don't you? Is that moral, by the way? Do you think that's moral? Can I not judge? You cannot judge that as immoral? No? No. Why not? Because to do so, you'd be claiming your morals are better than God's morals, right? Because you think it's wrong to murder babies. You think it's wrong to murder women who are pregnant. Don't you? Well, it's only wrong if you're doing it as form of murder. But if you're killing them in the name of your God creature whenever he commands genocide, no problem. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You're a Midianite woman. You wake up in the middle of the night. You've got 2 children there. Your husband, he's trying to defend off of these people. Here come these people. They come through and they're murdering people, and they murder you. They murder everybody, and they keep just your daughter, your little 6 or 7-year-old daughter or whatever, and they take her to be the sex slave of some person who murdered all of you. And why did they do this? Why did they do this? Was it because you went and killed them? Was it because you went and raped them? Was it because you went and took their food supplies? Was it because you committed genocide on these people? No, God commanded genocide on these people because some of the men from his tribe got lusted away by some of the women of the Midianites and left their tribe. It's as simple as that. It's as innocent as that, if we want to call it innocent. The whole dash their children against their rocks, at least in that story, they're talking about revenge because somebody had done that to them in Psalms 126. But in this case, they're not. This is not revenge murder. This is genocide, a holy war for nothing. And that's Moses, by the way, in case you're curious who was doing all that murder and all that killing and all that stuff. The Moses, the good guy who parted the waters, right? The good guy who parted the waters, right? Interesting stuff.
Finnegan!
Yes, sir. Very disturbing, I know.
Fetch me Father Finnegan.
Your Highness.
You are in the presence of His Holiness, the Pupius Maximus, guardian of the sacred fire hydrant, defender of the holy tennis ball, and eater of the golden kibble, Pup Oliver Poopsalop the Fifth.
You pooped them. I heard you have a bone to pick with me.
Condoms, Father Finnegan?
No, thank you. I've got plenty.
That's what I mean. Why are you selling condoms?
You mean our Pharaoh Sombrero line of condoms. Understood.
You know how we feel about those around here.
Well, they're not to be used by the Catholics, of course.
Not for Catholics?
No, they're part of our Sinner Gonna Sin lack of faith outreach program.
A sinner gonna what?
It's like getting the tithe, but from the heretics and the heathens and the atheists.
Oh, well, when you put it like that,
But, Your Highness, this will reflect very poorly on the church.
true. You know what this means, Flanagan?
Warning label, a warning label on the box, not for Catholics in big letters.
Too subtle.
Instant purgatory if used by Catholics.
I like it. Divine branding.
Excellent, Your Popedom. Will there be anything else?
That will be all. You may leave.
All right, we are back. So right here, Carl, you're wrong. It's not for 400 years because they were not sacrificing children. You're wrong. God commands the sacrifice of children. Genesis chapter 13, God commands the sacrifice of children. He does it in Genesis 3 times, and only one of those times does he give you the option to redeem the child. However, whenever he does use that option, he also uses an example of a calf, I think, and he says if you don't redeem the calf, you have to break its neck. What does that mean if you decide not to redeem your son? I really don't know. However, Exodus 13, 1 and 2 commands Moses to sacrifice his children to God. Why does he command that? The next verses even explain that because God was willing to murder the firstborn of Egypt for you, you should be willing to give your firstborn to God. Disgusting. God creature, creator God. What are we talking about here? God creature? And again, remember, my ignorant Christian friends, remember, the whole killing the firstborn of Egypt wasn't the Pharaoh's fault. God wanted to show his awe and wonder. And his awe and wonder were the 10 plagues. His signs. He wanted to show his signs. Let me find that for you. Let's see. According to the biblical narrative in the book of Numbers, God commanded the campaign against the Midianites as retribution for the PR incident. This event did not happen years prior. Rather, it occurred less than a year, within a matter of weeks or months before the military action, as both events take place during the final stages of the Israelis' wilderness journey before Moses' death. The Peor incident, recorded while Israel stayed in Shittim on the plains of Moab, where Midianite women enticed Israelite men into idolatry and sexual immorality with Baal of Peor, resulting in a plague that killed 24,000 people. So they're essentially claiming that the women seduced some of the men, and the men, apparently because of that, there was a plague. Well, who makes plagues? Who does plagues? Is plagues God's department? That's God's department, isn't it? So where is it? The Midianite women enticed Israelite men into idolatry and sexual impurity. God got pissed off and gave them a plague. God's who does that, right? Right? God's the giver of plagues. And then God commands Moses. So God puts a plague on his own people that kills 24,000 people and makes them, I guess, vengeance, gives them reason for vengeance. And then commands them to murder all the men, women, and children of this entire group of people. All of them. Yeah, for this. Not for hurting them in any way. I mean, the plague, I guess, would be God's fault, right? He's the one that commands plagues. We learned 4 billion people have not heard of Jesus. I'm sure a lot of them have heard of Jesus. I don't know about that. Good morning, though. Carl says not for 400 years they would not stop sacrificing children. So yeah, they would. That's you were wrong. See how you were wrong? You don't see how you were wrong? No. Anyway. thousands of baby murders is just. Are you talking about God, John? Are you talking about John murdering babies? Is that what you're talking about? God monster. Yeah, God monster. That's what I think too. Well, I mean, I'm reading this text here, right? You can go look up what the Peor incident was. The Peor incident was. Go look it up. Go look it up for yourself. It was not a horrific atrocity against the Israelite people. It was not. It was a religious thing, an immoral. Remember, they got uppity. Oh my goodness, they murdered them for religion. Sexual immorality, worthy of murder. Not of murder, though, of genocide. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people. All the men were killed right out. And then the women, Numbers 31. Let's go check that out. Numbers 31. They fought against Midian as the Lord commanded Moses. Stop. Full stop. And killed every man. Full stop. Murdered every man among Midianites, warrior and not warrior. Everybody who had a swinging cock died, according to their own story. This is their own moral telling. Among their victims were a bunch of men. King. Moses and the priest and all the leaders of the community went out to meet them at the camp. Moses was angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds who returned from the battle. Verse 15. Christians. Now remember, God commanded them to wipe everybody out. Now they have returned and they have not done what God commanded. Moses, have you allowed all the women to live? He asked them. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and enticed the Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord in the Peor incident, so that a plague struck the Lord's people. That's exactly what I just said, isn't it? It's for sexual immorality. They lured. It sounds like, for us with a modern eye, it sounds like some of the men caught an STD from the Midianite people or something like that. Didn't even have to be an STD. Could have been some kind of other disease, the plague or anything, that went back and gave them a disease. I mean, when I say the plague, I mean like the plague, something like that. You know what I meant? A disease of some fashion. Didn't have to be an STI, but it could have been just some other kind of deadly disease. God put the plague on them, though. He did that. That's God's business. Anyway, Moses was angry. So he was angry with the officers of the army. Have you allowed all the women to live? They were the ones who have followed Balaam's advice and enticed the Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord in the Peor incident, so that the plague struck the Lord's people. Now, Moses' words. Moses. Now, kill all the boys. In the original text, kill all the little ones among the males. Moses, on order of God, commanding these people to murder children. Now, I say on order of God, you're going, he's not there commanding them to do it. No, the only reason why they're alive is because they disobeyed God's orders. If they had obeyed God's orders, these children would already be dead. Right? Moses is saying, why didn't you follow God's orders to murder those children? Right? Is that not what's happening? Am I lying? Are lies coming from my mouth, Carl? Now, kill all the boys and kill every woman who has slept with a man. So we're talking about Moses. Okay? Good old Moses. Now, what's a woman that slept with a man? Does that include pregnant women? That does include pregnant women. So this is Moses commanding his men to murder pregnant women that are already captives. They're already captives. They are no threat. Murder all the women who has slept with a man, including, of course, obviously pregnant women, which would, by extension, be an abortion, would it not? Of a fashion? Or does the child survive somehow? God loves the babies. And then, but save for yourselves every girl among the little ones who has not known a man. This is your God creature and Moses. See, at least Moses was allowing them to save the little girls for themselves as sex slaves. God hadn't put that in there earlier. Maybe Moses saw a hottie and was like, oh, he changed the rules apparently right there. Didn't he? Didn't he? Didn't he? Let's see. You're supposed to kill every fucking body. Have you allowed the women to live? Blah, 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 blah. All the men were already dead. Okay, yeah. So, yeah. Now kill all the boys. God, Moses commanded children murdered. Right here. Is it moral for that? Is that moral? Is that creature who commanded that more moral than I am? By your standards, good Christian? Good, loving, peaceful, forgiving Christian. That's your God creature. You don't want to admit that. You don't want to go read that text, but that's your God creature right there, showing its face over and over and over again. It does it throughout the Bible. It does it over and over again. Show itself to be hideous. I am going to come and murder the fuck out of everybody so that you would know horror and that I am the Lord. Huh. Mi burrito está no bueno. It burns when I pee. Let's see here. Let's see. Ezekiel 22. Is that it? Let's see. Let me just do this real quick. All right, so I think it's in, is it 20? Okay, so here's God creature. This is God. Now, this is one of my favorites right here. Verse 20, Ezekiel 20. Christians, check this out. Go read it for yourself. Ezekiel 20. Don't hide behind the New Testament. Jesus is just representing the God of the Old Testament, remember? Jesus is God. And if you believe Jesus is God, then Jesus told Moses and his people to murder their own children for him. Exodus 13:1. And then he bragged about it to Ezekiel. Because they had not obeyed my laws, but had rejected my decrees and desecrated my Sabbath, and their eyes lusted after their parents' idols, the idols of Egypt, where they had just been freed. So I gave them other statutes that were not good and laws through which they could not live. I defiled them through their gifts, the sacrifice of every firstborn, that I might fill them with horror, so that they would know that I am the Lord. That's your God creature. God creature. I think it's aptly described, don't you? God creature. Now wait. Let's do this. Let's see. Oh, mama. Okay, so, is it? Okay. Exodus 7, 3 and 4. Okay. Now, you know the story of Pharaoh. You know the story of Pharaoh. So let's go up here to Exodus 3 and 4. Exodus, what is it? Fuck you. Exodus 7, 3 through 4. Because I don't want to taking just Exodus 7. We'll read from there. Now, Exodus 7, 3 through 4 says, well, let's start. Right? Then the Lord said to Moses, starting at the first, see, I have made you like God to Pharaoh, and your brother Aaron will be your prophet. You are to say everything I command you, and your brother Aaron is to tell Pharaoh to let the Israelites go out of his country. Stop. Focus with me, Christians. Focus. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and Though I multiply my signs and wonders in Egypt, he will not listen to you. What are his signs and wonders in Egypt? Do you remember what his signs and wonders in Egypt were? Then I will lay my hand on Egypt, and with a mighty axe of judgment I will bring out of my divisions my people, the Israelites, and the Egyptians will know that I am the Lord when I stretch out my hand against Egypt and bring the Israelites out of it. You will know horror, and that I am the Lord. I'm going to murder all the firstborn of that nation. I'm going to destroy all their crops. I'm going to kill many of their food animals. I'm going to lay this nation to waste in 10 plagues so that they will see my signs and wonders. And he hardened Pharaoh's heart. Pharaoh was going to let them go, wasn't he? He was. It says so right here. It says, God creature even says, Aaron is to tell Pharaoh to let the Israelites go out of his country. But I will harden Pharaoh's heart. So, murderous God creature. And see, that's the whole thing. This God creature does this. And then I tell you the stories about Jesus where he says he's going to come back in Matthew. And he says he's going to come back and murder everybody who doesn't, all the wicked. Anybody who's not righteous is righteous and wicked. He's going to murder them all by throwing them in a burning furnace. Jesus says he's going to do that. And this notion by some Christians that, he wouldn't do that to the children. Well, yes. As you can see, the Lord creature, the God creature, loves killing children. Does it over and over again. Over and over again. Over and over again. Over and over again. You want to read that one together? Do you want to read that other one together? Let's go here. Just for fun. And see, the whole notion, again, of like Christians, why you're against abortion just boggles my mind. You worship a God that lusts after the murder of children. The murder of firstborn sons. It commands they're done for it, and it kills them of other peoples. Egypt, remember? The murder of the firstborn sons of Egypt. That's every firstborn child of Egypt, every firstborn son of Egypt. That's your God creature. And you're against abortion. What the fuck? Exodus 13:1. The Lord said to Moses, consecrate to me every firstborn male. The first offspring of every womb among the Israelites belongs to me, whether human or animal. Exodus 13:1. Exodus 13:3. Then Moses said to the people, commemorate this day, the day you came out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery, because the Lord brought you out of it with a mighty hand. Which is the killing of their child. Now, there's some stuff about the month of Blah, when the Lord brings you into the herd of the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, of all these other ites, the land he swore to your ancestors to give you, a land of flowing honey. But remember, they had to murder their way through all that, didn't they? They went and murdered all of these groups of people. Now, there were some groups of people they did not murder as they went along that were friendly to their tribe, but many of them they did murder every man, because they're on their way to the promised land, right? The holy people are on their way to the promised land. So naturally, murdering your way to that promised land is the only way to go. Anyway, when the Lord brings you to the land of Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Hivitites, and the Jebusites, the land he swore to your ancestor to give you, a land flowing with milk and honey, you are to observe this ceremony in the month. For 7 days, eat bread. All right, so then he goes on about himself. Hold on. All right, so eat leavened bread. Verse 7, eat unleavened bread during those 7 days. Nothing within yeast within it is to be seen among you, nor shall any yeast be seen anywhere in your borders. On that day, tell your son, I do this because of what the Lord did for me. I came out of Egypt, when I came out of Egypt. This observance will be for you like a sign on your hand and a reminder on your forehead that this law of the Lord is to be on your lips. For the Lord brought you out of Egypt with a mighty hand. You must keep this ordinance at the appointed time, year after year. Verse 11. Just stick with me, Christians. After the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites and gives it to you. How does that happen, by the way? The Canaanites, the God creature softens their hearts and has them move away? No, he commands the murder of them, doesn't he? Murderous, loving, kind, forgiving. Anyway, after the Lord brings you into the land of the Canaanites and gives it to you as he promised on oath to you and your ancestors, you are to give it over to the Lord, the first offspring of every womb. All the firstborn males of your livestock belong to the Lord. Redeem them. Redeem with a lamb every firstborn donkey. But if you do not redeem it, break its neck. Redeem every firstborn of your sons. Now, you'll notice this time it's telling them they can redeem their sons. What's the difference between the first and the second one? The difference is the first one, he doesn't tell them that they can redeem their son. The difference is the first one, they're still out in the wild. They're not at the place. The second one says, after the Lord brings you through this land, then you can essentially stop sacrificing your sons by redeeming them. Okay? This is how I'm taking it. I don't see. Because again, when they're here, the Lord did this, consecrate to me the firstborn because of blah, 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 blah. Then down here, after the Lord brings you into the land of Canaanites and gives it to you, as promised, on oath to you, you are to give over to the Lord the first offspring of every womb. All the firstborn males of your livestock belong to the Lord. Redeem with a lamb every firstborn donkey. But if you do not redeem it, break its neck. Redeem every firstborn among your sons. This is after they get to the promised land, not before. So you can lie to yourself and say it's not, but that's his God creature commanding the murder of firstborn children. Now, of his own people, his own followers, commanding them to murder their children to him. Do we have any Christians left at all? Is my damn video? Carl, have you ever eaten shrimp? Carl, did you pluck out your eye, Carl? How many eyes do you have, Carl? You've never looked at a woman sinfully? Never. As an adult, as a man, as a grown man, you've never done anything. You've never sinned in your heart. You've never reached out with your hand and had it cause you to sin? No. Do you still have all your hands? But Jesus said to cut off your hand if it offended you. If it caused you to stumble, cut that hand off. You still have your eyes. Jesus said if your eye caused you to stumble, you should pluck out your eye. It's better to spend eternity in heaven with one eye than it is to spend eternity in hell with two. How many eyes you have? Two? I'm curious how that works. You should collab with Matt Dillahunty and Dr. Bliss. Hi, Brady. I think they're both cool. We all have our different purposes, I feel. Even if there are some other creators out there I don't agree with, other atheist creators, I don't agree with them. I don't like them. I wouldn't be in the same room with them. But we're all fighting a war together. So despite my differences with my opinions of them, they are fighting for my children just as I'm fighting for their children. So, and I'm not talking about Matt Dillahunty or any of those other people that you mentioned. I don't even know the second name you mentioned. Dr. Blitz. I don't think I've ever heard of Dr. Blitz. So Carl said that. I'm going to get rid of that. God said it was because of what they did to the Israelites, not because they were sacrificing children. And that's true. That's why they were. See, and I've already showed you that you as a Christian, you can't say that God commanded the murder of anybody, the genocide of anybody, because they were sacrificing their children. Because God commands them to sacrifice their children to him. Right there. Over and over again. God does. So that's not it. Now, there are some people who say that it was because it was to Molech. Well, that's probably a perspective thing. Molech was not a god. It was a method. So sacrificing them by fire instead of however they normally sacrificed them at the temple with the prayers, with the priests, that sort of thing. So Molech, but it may have also been Molech through Molech to Baal instead of to Yahweh. That may have been the case either way. But either way, that's a holy war calling for the murder and genocide of every man, woman, and child for a religious reason, for religion, because they don't believe the same way you do. That's what that is. And if you look it up, really, you'll learn that it was actually the Moabs. The Moabites were the one who, in the Peor incident, led the Israelite men away. But the story was later changed, written later. The other one was written later. Anyway, it's a long story. Let's see here. I'm going to go here. He tells half a story, says Carl. No, maybe you just got here. He doesn't mean literally cut off your hand, says I'll. No, he probably doesn't, does he? Does he? Does he say he doesn't mean that literally? What's the point of what he's saying, LL? The point is literal, is it not? It's better for you to go through the afterlife maimed in heaven than go through the afterlife in one whole piece in hell. Is that not the point? That is the point, I do believe. Now, in that story, he does indeed say, pluck out your eye, does he not? He does indeed tell them to cut off their hand if it offends them, does he not? But then it also at that same time, oddly, one thing he doesn't do is go, if your eye offends thee, ask me for forgiveness. Believe in me and I will forgive you. If your hand has offended you, come to me. Ask me in your heart for forgiveness and I will forgive you. He doesn't say that, does he? He doesn't, does he? Interesting. Cute. Let's see here. I'm expert enough in them to understand that scientific discoveries is stalling. Oh, allegedly Ian is awesome. I've seen some allegedly Ian too. I have. I've seen some of him. Tonight with Kyle says, I wish I could be as confident on something I didn't read as Carl. No shit. You just can't see it with two eyes. Carl, you can't see it. You can't see it. I mean, there may be metaphor there, but you're trapped and you can't see it. And what do you make of that metaphor? You make of that metaphor anything you want to make of that metaphor. You change it to fit whatever you think. Is it literal? Did Jesus literally mean to cut off your? Did he not literally mean to cut off? Well, he actually was quite specific, I thought. Don't you think he was? I just want to say, Carl, or no, LL, I'm sorry. I want to say that I suspect, and I obviously, as you can see, we're just kind of riffing here, you and I haven't run down to the library and done all the research that you would do. But I suspect the number of people who have maimed themselves because of those words in the Bible, whether they've cut off their hand, whether they've plucked out their own eye, the number of people who have done those things because of that is not zero. I would think it's not zero. I could be mistaken. But I bet if you looked, you could find people who have mutilated themselves due to those words. I bet you could if you looked. Yeah, I just want to say the people who are kind of really hard into believing in God, creature, and stuff, they tend to not literally be all that there. Remember back when we had sanitariums? We had a God in every damn padded room. I am God. No, I am God. No, I am God. Anyway, Garland Garrett. Good morning, Garland Garrett. Do you know bones could swell up over time? Measure a chicken bone before you put it in water and watch it swell up. Scientists wrap the bones to a symbol of what they could have looked like. Oh, the shrink wrapping thing. Okay, wait a second. Okay, I think maybe, Garland, good morning. I think we're kind of a couple of things are going on. Bones may swell. I don't really know about the swelling of bones and how much they would swell. However, the second part of your thing, scientists wrap the bones to a symbol of what they could have looked like. And that's, I find, is an interesting thing that I only recently discovered. And that it's some kind of, the word wrap is in there, like to wrap something. And what it is that we see these things, we see these dinosaurs, and they're all, literally, they take their bones and they shrink wrap them. The skin around the bones, and that's what we get when we think of dinosaurs, when you look at them. But if you were to look at a buffalo, and it's got its spined hump, if you were to look at its skeleton, as they did with the dinosaurs, it would be all shrink wrapped. It'd have like this little spiny thing up on top instead of a big bony hump with a lot of meat along the sides, and it would look completely different because they'd shrink wrap it down to fit the body, because they don't really know what it looked like because the meat and stuff are gone. So I think that's kind of interesting that they've actually accepted now, oh, wait a second, we're actually doing that, and they realized they were doing that. So now they have to rethink some things. I think that's cool. I like it that they change. Let me get rid of this and calling God creature. Yeah, I think I proved my point as far as God being a God creature. Let's see. Bible is Muslim slop. Read the Bible. It obviously doesn't mean it literally. That's okay. It doesn't have to mean it literally. I mean, that you think it does is unfortunate, but it doesn't have to mean it literally. It's actually a metaphor, or could be a metaphor. It could be being used as a way to describe how things should be or would be. Either way, it's unfortunate. You heard the words. Did you not hear the words? Let me just find out. Let's go check that scripture out. Matthew 5:29 and Matthew 18. All right, let's start with Matthew 5:29. Brr, no typing, Chris, no typing. 5. Let's go to 5:29. So the first half of 5 is like songs. Okay. 29. Okay. So he's laying out rules. This is about rules. Let me read this. Read this. Let's go here. He's laying out rules. Cool. The fulfillment of the law, the salt and the light, murder. You have said that it was said that people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. Ooh, this is kinky. It really does. It really, oh, I liked it. So hold on a second. Wait for me, my friends. What was it again? Hold on. Don't run away. There we go. Okay. These are laws. Remember, these are laws. He's going through laws. Murder, fulfillment of the law, the salt of light, the beatitudes. Okay, then down here at the bottom, adultery. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery. But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with his heart. You don't have to go lay her down. You do not have to get naked with her. You do not have to put penis to vagina. All you have to do is think about it. Jesus' words, red letters right here. Am I wrong? Am I taking this out of context? Lie to yourself right now and tell yourself, I am taking this out of context. You have heard that it was said, you shall not commit adultery, but I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. If your right eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to be thrown in hell. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to lose one part of your body than for your whole body to go into hell. Then he moves on to divorce. He doesn't say, this is a metaphor. No, he does not. He moves on to divorce. Then he goes, it is said, anyone who divorces his wife must be given a... He doesn't. So you're wrong? Are you wrong? Can you say you were wrong? Would you admit you were wrong? I understand. I'm wrong all the time. I like admitting I'm wrong. It kind of gives me a tingly feeling down in my junk. But, so... Am I wrong? How come you still have all your eyes? Oh, there was another one, wasn't there? I thought there was another one. It's also Matthew 18. I thought it said. Matthew 18. Let's go check out Matthew 18. Fun for the whole family. 18. Poopsie. Ooh. Oh, man. I love this. This is one of my favorite chapters. I know these were two the same thing. This is great, man. This is great. What verse was it, though, where he was doing the thing where he's swinging the salt on it? Verse 9. Okay, let's check that out. Matthew, verse 9. Okay, all right. So here we go. If your hand or your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off. All right, hold on. How do I start this without reading the whole fucking thing? Let's do it. I can read fast. At the time the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a little child to them and placed the child among them. And he said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like children," heard the word like, that means it's a metaphor. Okay? "You will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child," metaphorically speaking, my child, "is the greatest in the kingdom, and whoever welcomes one such in my name welcomes me." Okay? So he's using his child as a metaphor in this one here to say that if you are a child of him, and if anybody hurts you, right, this is kind of, therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child, right, truly I tell you, unless you change and become like children. Okay, all cool. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, he's not talking about children. He's literally talking about the grown adult disciples right there. He used a child as a metaphor, and some theists, some apologists, some Christians will say, "Oh, protect the children, babies and whatnot," but he's not talking about the baby. He used that child as a metaphor. Full stop. The point is that anyone who causes his disciples, his children, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. This is Jesus calling for not the murder of pedophiles. That's not what he's calling for. Jesus is calling for the drowning in the sea, the murder, by putting it, would be as well off as the murder of people for what? For causing their priests to stumble, for causing his children to stumble, for causing any one of these little ones, those who believe in me, his disciples. So, if you're a follower of Jesus and somebody makes you stumble, they're the ones at fault. Anyway, so that's the one right there. I like to come back to that one. Now, let's go on down. Woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come. If your hand or your foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed and crippled than to have 2 hands and 2 feet and to be thrown into eternal fire. And if your eye causes you to stumble, gouge it out and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life with 1 eye than to have 2 eyes and to be thrown into the fire of hell. And then he moves on. He doesn't say that's a metaphor. He doesn't say, "Oh, but come to me and pray for me." No. So are you wrong? Will you admit you're wrong? Do you care if you're wrong? Interesting. Let's go here. God demands pedophilia. That's true. Indeed. Yeah, that's the whole deal. What is good and evil? And that's the whole thing. The thing, like earlier, I haven't gone and read it. I haven't, because I've read it so many times on the channel before, but I'll read it for those of you whom have doubted me. So this is an example of Jesus telling you to hurt yourself. It's also an example of Jesus telling you, essentially, metaphorically speaking, to use violence against anybody who causes his children to stumble. And apparently murderous violence. A millstone hung around your neck and thrown into the sea is murderous violence. That's Jesus calling for murderous violence. And as I proved to you, friends, he's not talking about hurting children. He's talking about hurting his flock, his followers. grown men. He did indeed use a child as a metaphor, but that's where it ends. He used a child. That's nothing surprising with Christianity. So let's go to Matthew. Is that the one? I thought it was Matthew 24. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Here it is, Matthew 24, or Matthew 13. This is the one where I mentioned earlier, and you're like, oh no, he never says that. I've said it several times on the show. Jesus says he's going to come here and murder him and his angels, throw them into blazing furnaces, everyone who is wicked. Only the righteous will survive. What is wicked? What is righteous? What is good? What is evil? Those things are subjective opinions of the God creature. Its opinion. Its opinion is what's good or bad. As we've talked about on the show, God has commanded the murder of children many times. So clearly, if you believe that anything God commands is good, you must admit that in those cases, for whatever reason, God commanded the murder of children was good. Here, this is where Jesus tells you, Matthew 13, verses 31. I'm sorry, wait, go down further. Which one is it? There's two of them because it does it twice. Okay. Now, hold on. Down here it says, in the kingdom of heaven is a treasure like a field. Once again, the kingdom of heaven. See, I know I'm missing one. There's one up here. Let's go to this. Let's do this. Control F, dude. Control F. Furnace. That's easy. Go to chapter 13 of Matthew and search for the word furnace. That helps. Once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that will be let down into the lake. Wait, that's not the first time it said. Where's the first time? 1, 2. Okay, here we go. This is talking about the parable of the sower of the weeds. He's going to pluck all the weeds. And he says, as the weeds are pulled up and burned in the fire, so will it be at the end of the age. The Son of Man. This is Jesus talking, Matthew 13, speaking out his words, saying the Son of Man, which is Jesus. He's talking about himself in the third person. Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Anyway, the Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. They will throw them into the blazing furnace where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. That's Jesus telling you he's going to come back. If he did that right now, and who are the righteous? Would that be a certain sect of Christianity? Which sect of Christianity? Just the Catholics? Just say the Catholics. So everybody on this planet who's not a Catholic gets burned in a furnace with the weeping and gnashing of teeth. Man, woman, child, infant, baby. All of them murdered by Jesus and his angels in a burning furnace. Right here, it tells you so. But wait, I know, I'm taking out of context. Please, I encourage you to go read it yourself, my Christian friends. It tells you twice in the same chapter, twice, that Jesus and his angels are going to come back and murder everyone. The second time it tells you is down, the first time was verses 42, they will throw them into the blazing furnace. Down further, it says, he says, once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that will be pulled down. When it is full, the fishermen pull out the good ones and keep them, and they throw away the bad ones. This is how it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come, and they will separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So, Christians, how many people is Jesus going to murder with his angels in a blazing furnace if he came back right now and only your sect of Christianity was the right sect? How many people would Jesus and his angels murder? Got a number for me? No? Just kind of curious. Good morning, Shining Gecko. Hope you're doing great. Carl, Christianity was way before Islam. Judaism was way before Christianity. Are you going to convert to Judaism based on time? Judaism, the book of the Old Testament is 3 times as long as the New Testament. Are you going to convert because that book is bigger than your book? But wait a second. The New Testament is newer than the Old Testament, so clearly that must be the right one, right? And it's smaller, so it must be a narrow version of God's message. But wait, the Quran is a lot newer than the New Testament. And it's smaller too, I think. Oh no, are you going to become a Muslim now? I'm just curious. But he'll save a good few, I'm sure. Yeah, well, again, according to Jesus' own words, this is him. But if you believe in war as a form of self-defense, you think the angels and Jesus are going to be vulnerable to bullets? I know that's not what you're talking about. You're surely not talking about the angels and Jesus and them are actually being in self-defense against humans. That's not what you're saying. It can't be what you're saying. Can't be what you're saying. But even still, I mean, this is Jesus and his angels. This is the Son of Man and his angels. There ain't no bullets that are going to stop them. They're going to kick in the door of this Muslim man and woman. The Muslim man is going to try to kill him, and they're just going to raise their sword and slaughter that man. Then they're going to go kick in the door to the bedroom, and they're going to kill the woman and murder her children. Actually, according to the story, they're just going to gather them all up and throw them in a blazing furnace. I wonder if they'll carry a blazing furnace around with them or what. But this is, they can't do anything about it. This is God's right hand and his very angels. Bullets? What are bullets going to do to them? It's not a fight. It's not a battle. It's a slaughter. They are describing the kind of slaughter that would be an atrocity by anybody's measure. And the one we talked about earlier, whenever they killed the Midianites, allegedly, well, I think it was like 300,000 men of the Midianites alone, I think, were something like a huge number. And only 12,000 of the Israelites were sent. Men of the Israelites, 1,000 from each tribe, and none of them died. What kind of slaughter is it going to be when Jesus and his angels return? An even fight, maybe? You think, maybe? No, it's going to be a merciless bloodbath, a slaughter. God creature, loving and merciful. Remember, Revelation, this is the Lamb. This is the Lamb. The Lamb who came out, and he was covered in what? What was the Lamb covered in? Mercy, love, forgiveness, blood, death, vengeance. When the vault under the throne cracked open, and the prophets of God, those martyrs of he who is holy and who is pure and who's just, did they call for mercy? Did they call for love? Did they call for God creature to harden or soften the hearts of those people? No. They just want blood and vengeance and death. Go read your own book. My friends, you have been fantastic. I hope you've had a wonderful week. I've had a pretty good week. Thank you, everybody in the chat. If you want anything specific, would you guys like to hear all right, so I'll give you a choice. We can do the Holy Halos, which is our commercial from Father Flanagan's Industries for our condom products, Catholic condoms. If you'd like to see Holy Halos, let me know. Or we have, goat-scented flesh candles. Have you sinned and don't have a goat to sacrifice? Father Flanagan's has got you covered. Or we could even did we do the foreskin restoration kits? Have you heard of it? Were you circumcised as a child but you didn't want to be circumcised? Foreskin restoration kits. Have you guys heard of that? It is just 10:18. Gabriel says it is justice for the judge to pass judgment on the wicked. God's vengeance is righteous. See, no matter what God does, correct? Am I correct? 10:18, Gabriel. So your God is immoral compared to me. Based on my moral standards, it's not right to murder children. Based on my moral standards, so the righteous, the justice for the judge to pass on the judgment. So all those innocent children, they're judged. They're wicked. They're sinful. You weren't here when I demonstrated how the Old Testament shows us the God creature, when he comes, is going to murder everyone. Children, babies, everyone. Babies, everyone. Women who have known a man, right? That's pregnant women. That's God commanding Moses to command the people of Israel, his own people, to murder women who were pregnant. So I don't think the judgment is... just because you created something doesn't give you the right to destroy it, however maliciously, that's the word I was looking for, you want to. You can't. I mean, you might think you can, but just because your son doesn't want to live under your house doesn't mean you can take him in the backyard and kill him. Does it? Or does it? Does it? Now, wait a second. If your God is angry with you, it's okay to sacrifice your firstborn, isn't it? That's what God did. He sacrificed his firstborn, didn't he? Jesus was the first to breach the womb of Mary, wasn't he? Jesus is the Son of God. Jesus says he's my Father. God says you are my son. That's a child sacrifice. Jesus is a child sacrifice. I am off to save the world, my friends. I hope you sin safely. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
Got a house that smells like old cheese and shame. Father Flanagan's flesh candles change the game. Goat-scented thrills for your...
Oh, I'm a bad man. I didn't play anything. Y'all wanted Holy Halos or I'm sorry. Hold on, don't leave yet. If you are, I'll give you the, was it goat-scented flesh? What was it? I saw it. Holy Halos or flesh candles? It was the Pharaoh's curse. Here we go. I'll give you the Pharaoh's curse. When I get back, I'll close it out with Holy Halos. Guys, I'm sorry. Hang out for the commercials. They're funny.
Burrito es tan bueno, it burns when I pee. Abraham had the crotch cooties and gave his sister wife to me. El ataco bueno, it stings like a bee. They told me she was his sister, now I'm plagued between the knees. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, a case of penile plague. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, there's fire between my legs. Mi burrito está no bueno, a full bladder I fear. Abraham's lies and Sarai's touch have left me itching front to rear. Mi burrito está bueno, it burns when I pee. Abraham had the crotch cooties and gave his sister wife to me. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, a case of penile plague. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, there's fire between my legs. Mi burrito está no bueno, a full bladder I fear. Abraham's lies and Sarai's touch have left me itching front to rear. Mi burrito está no bueno, it burns when I pee. Abraham had the crotch cooties and gave his sister wife to me. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, a case of penile plague. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, there's fire between my legs. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, a case of penile plague. I've got the Pharaoh's curse, there's fire between my legs.
All right, my friends, and I'm going to wrap it up. I turned off my lights, sorry. I'm going to wrap it up with the Holy Halos. You have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the Holy Halos. If you're a Catholic, then we've got a condom for you. Sin safely, my friends. Take care. I want to mention LL said that if God kills somebody, so they're going to a better place, right? Well, actually, if God kills somebody, he's pissed at them, and they're not going to that better place. I'm just saying. You should read your own book. Don't trust me. Next up in the bark bank, a clergyman with a holy hustle and maybe a few unholy loopholes.
Hi, Barks. Blessings and belly rubs to you all. I'm Father Flanagan, and today I'm here seeking $50,000 for 3% of my soul-saving startup, Holy Halos, the world's first, soon-to-be, church-approved condoms. Following the ways of the Lord can be hard and often require sacrifices of the flesh. Well, fear not, my wayward child. Introducing Father Flanagan's line of Holy Halo condoms.
Hold on, Father. The church very much doesn't like condoms. How do you expect to sell these?
Well, you're right, but these aren't just any condoms. No, my furry financiers, these are permeable. But every single halo has been dipped in holy water, a divine divider between you and sin. You can finally frolic freely and still keep that sweet spot in heaven. Permeable, but dipped in holy water to keep the sin out, but let the babies in.
Let you get your stick wet without getting your stick stuck.
If you know what I mean.
Oh my! Very embarrassing every time.
So basically they don't work as condoms, but they let you get away with having sex without going to hell?
Exactly. The church gets to keep making babies, but you don't have to keep going to confession. Think of it. No more guilt. No more awkward "I'm saving myself for marriage" speeches. With Holy Halos, you can take those pray hands and turn them into lay hands.
Didn't I read that holy water is full of bacteria like E. coli? Won't this be harmful to women's health?
The words are English, but I don't understand the question.
How are you addressing the issue holy water presents for women's health?
Again, I'm not understanding.
She does that. Well, we don't get it either.
Is that mesh from a window screen?
Ah, that's a keen eye you have there, young lass. Yes. Another fine selling point, rough on the outside to increase her shame, as it should be. But soft and smooth on the inside, internally lubed and ribbed for his pleasure. We even have custom scents.
Scents? Now you have my attention. What flavors we talking? Don't pitch me that vanilla missionary nonsense, Padre.
Well, we do have virgin vanilla, but we also have miracle mint and a cooing camel, and my personal favorite, sweat of the Savior.
And the Vatican, they've blessed this endeavor?
Well, not exactly. I'm still waiting on the papal decree one way or the other.
I love it, but you're asking 50 grand for only 3%. That's rough, Father, real rough.
Not running with the big dogs on this one. I'm gonna stay on the porch.
Me too. Good luck, Father. 15%.
Ouch, 15%, that's highway robbery even for the church.
Come on, Father, we're dogs. We know a bone when we see one. 10%, and we'll even bless your branding.
Look, meet me in the middle, 7%, and I'll baptize all your puppies.
7% works for me. Father Flanagan, it looks like
Wait a second. Our producers say we have a special call-in bidder. Let's get him up on the screen. Folks, we have the guardian of the sacred fire hydrant himself.
Oh no.
Defender of the holy tennis ball and eater of the golden kibble, Pup Oliver Poops a Lot the Fifth.
Flanagan!
Yes, your poetry.
50,000 at 20%.
20%?
And you get to keep calling yourself a father.
Sold to the pup in the very fine hat.
I knew you'd see it my way.
You're very wise, your hiney. Would there be anything else?
He may leave.
Father Flanagan's line of holy halos, ultra thin, spiritually thick. Available in 3 sizes: conservative, medium, and liberal.
Got a house that smells like old cheese and shame. Father Flanagan's flesh candles change the game. Goat-scented thrills for your soul's delight. Light it up, baby, make your room right. When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the goat in a holy zone. Father Flanagan, here to set the tone. Confession booth, busy, no need to stress. Light a candle and forget your mess. Gross odors vanish like sins in the wind. With is your new best friend. When you've sinned and need to atone, light a candle and avoid the stone. Smell the goat in a holy zone. Father Flanagan here to set the tone. Lambs and calves may have their day, but goat's the scent that leads the way. Clean your slate with a sniff so pure. Father Flanagan's got the cure. Turn your home into a saintly space. With every whiff, find redeeming grace. From your living room to the kitchen sink, light the gold candle, don't even think.